I will say again, the map was drawn to maximize the Republican chances to win 9 congressional districts in the upcoming midterm elections.
Tennessee, Virginia, Alabama, 3 states, 3 different plays, all from the same damn playbook. It's all about stealing one midterm. That's what we're looking at with this mid-decade gerrymandering supernado that the Republicans are running right now. And it is built from coast to coast on a Supreme Court decision that is, I'm not joking here, mathematically wrong. Let me explain. April 29th, just days ago, the Supreme Court ruled on Louisiana versus Callais, 6-3. The conservatives gutting Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. They told plaintiffs, going forward, you have to prove racial gerrymandering by, quote, controlling for partisan affiliation. That sounds neutral, sounds reasonable, sounds science-y, and yet it is statistical malpractice. Let me give you the most basic, quick math lesson because the Supreme Court evidently still needs one. In modern America, if you weren't aware, race influences party identification because of how we've treated different races. Black voters over-index as Democrats. White voters in the South, Republican. So if you are trying to prove racial polarization, and the court tells you, hey, before you do that, you've got to subtract out the partisan effect, you simply can't, because the racial polarization is what's causing the partisan polarization. You're being asked to remove the variable that you're trying to measure. It's like a basketball coach telling you, hey, I need you to prove that your team scores points, but first, I need you to subtract any points that were scored when the ball went through the hoop.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian.
And Justice Kagan, in her dissent, was a little bit more eloquent. She called it asking plaintiffs to remove from the equation the very thing they're trying to prove. And on Thursday, Tennessee took the Memphis-anchored 9th District, 60% black voting age population. They voted for Harris 71-27, and they split it 3 ways. The new 9th, 38% black, would have voted Trump 60-39. The state's only black majority district is gone. The Tennessee delegation goes from 8 Republicans and 1 Democrat to a perfect 9-0 for Republicans. And in Virginia, Friday morning, the Virginia Supreme Court, 4-3, threw out the redistricting referendum that Virginia voters approved in April. Voters said, yes, the people wanted it, 52-48. And in Virginia, the court said, this violation irreparably undermines the integrity of the resulting referendum vote and renders it null and void. They overturned the will of the voters who already voted. That map would have given Democrats 4 more seats, and it's gone. Alabama, they've queued up. They even tried to vote in the middle of a tornado evacuation. Mississippi, calling a special session, May 20th. Louisiana already lost a black majority district. South Carolina and Georgia, they're loading the chamber. And according to the AP, this week, the Justice Department was caught using misleading data, the same misleading data that was used in the Callais decision to justify all of those states' maps. And perhaps Gavin Newsom put it most succinctly. When you look at it, there was no vote in Tennessee and they gained a GOP spot. No vote in Florida, +4 GOP. No vote in Missouri, +1 GOP. No vote in North Carolina, +2 GOP. No vote in Texas, +5 GOP. And yet, Virginia's voter-approved maps thrown out, the quote of all quotes, MAGA has rigged the system. And if you remember, Newsom called for California to redistrict back in July 2025, the second that Texas pulled their stunt. And he said, hey, 2 can play that game. Yet now, Callais says that you cannot prove racial gerrymandering without disentangling it from party. And it's mathematically impossible. So now, You cannot challenge a partisan gerrymander in federal court or a racial gerrymander in federal court. And here's the unfunny part to all this. We're watching with our own eyes the dismantling of the system that allows black voters in the American South to elect their representatives. Memphis just lost its seat. 6 more southern states are next. And the Voting Rights Act, signed into law 60 years ago by Lyndon Johnson with John Lewis in the room, is being shredded with a SCOTUS opinion built on stats that a freshman in high school would catch the error. Republicans, they're not even hiding it. They're not trying to win the midterms by votes. They're trying to win the midterms by maps, by cheating, by geography, by the math that the Supreme Court rigged. They have sorted the country into safe pockets where the only way to lose is for them to die. And you're going to vote in November. And the result, it's going to look like everything's normal. And yet a third of the country's representation will have been moved around like 40 chess pieces in a special session in May. That is how democracy dies. Not in darkness. It dies in a Tuesday committee meeting in Nashville. Do me a favor, subscribe to our channel and yell with us in the comments. It'll make you feel a little bit better, I promise.